Hello, everyone,
Hi, everyone.
and welcome to another episode of Beyond the Screen. Let's get real, for real, for real, for real,
For real.
for real, for real, de veras. We are super excited because today we are going to be welcoming our guest, Jonathan Levi, who is a musician, a singer-songwriter, and who's just a really, really beautiful person. And his voice is amazing, and he's working with some really cool folks. And this is the first time that we're going to be having a musician as part of the series as a performance artist. So we're again trying to diversify the artist. He's actually joining us. So give us 1 second. We need to get our music down.
Yes, we do.
Maybe.
Hello.
Hey!
Hi.
How's it
Hi,
How
hi.
are you?
Good. How are you?
Good.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can.
Awesome.
Let me
Oh my
turn off
gosh.
my Google. Hey, Google, turn off. Well, thank you so much
Every
for
time we're-
having me.
What was that?
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh
Oh,
my
absolutely.
gosh. No, thank you for agreeing to join us and for just being
Oh,
so
of
beautiful,
course.
that beautiful voice, and
Oh,
we're just
thank you
super
so much. I appreciate that. I'm going to
Yeah.
just sit down here. Is this better? Okay.
Yeah, a little bit better.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
No, we were just sharing that as we're waiting for like guests to log on, and our not only our featured guests but also folks who are joining us for the conversation
Okay,
to log
yeah.
on. We usually
Cool.
are like because we have like
It's like a little
Oh,
interlude.
really?
because
Like
we have no
rolling
better
in.
music, and I'm like, we need to ask Jonathan to like send us a little something.
Oh, yeah, like a little like intro, a welcoming ditty.
Yes. How
So
are
how
you,
are you?
friend?
I'm good. I'm doing good. I was up kind of late. I mean, I'm kind of a night owl in general, but there was like a lot of drama in Minneapolis. I'm sure that you folks have heard, which was really stirring to see. So I was kind of up watching that live stream and stuff. But I'm good, other than the world kind of being in chaos right now.
Yeah, no.
I'm kind of used to like an internal chaos, but like when it's external, I'm like, oh, okay, so something is really happening then.
Yeah, no,
But anyway,
it's crazy. And no, and thank you for checking in about that. Yeah, I mean this whole yeah, I mean that's a whole
That's a whole nother
10
segment.
a
that's
whole
a
nother
series
episode.
yeah, that's a whole nother episode. But
Yeah, yeah.
let's
I know. I did my meditation and I'm in my Zen space. So, but when you ask me that kind of question, I can't. I'm just like I'm still kind of like a little. You can't really escape the actual
yeah.
reality of what's going on. But like you said, next episode.
Yes, it's
Oh,
I was gonna say, it's interesting because especially during times like these, asking someone how are you can be so loaded and so heavy. So
yeah.
thank you so much.
And
Oh,
actually,
yeah.
this is actually probably the perfect lead-in to just ask you about labeling yourself an artist, and do you what do you call yourself? Do you call yourself a musician?
I just recently started calling myself. I go back and forth, but I think I definitely consider myself an artist. It's taken me years to kind of like feel comfortable calling myself a musician. I always just kind of, and I still feel this way every now and then. I go through my phases with with music and my own artistry. I call myself a singer-songwriter. Um, I would. I'm comfortable calling myself a musician and an artist now. Well, today, but 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 yeah, for years, I want to say it's definitely been a journey for me in terms of my musical endeavors. So I consider myself an artist. So we'll go with that.
Great.
Kind of went all the way over here and it came back over here to artist.
Right.
That's how
Right?
we
So good.
do. That's how we do.
That is how we do it. Labels also can be so loaded too. Like you think about it and you're like, wait, am I? Am I not? Can I be? Can I not be?
Yeah,
It's so crazy.
exactly. No, that's totally exactly what I mean. And there's a lot of comparing to other people, especially like I don't know, I'm sure I'm learning that like, when you're an artist or when you're kind of like when you're any kind of artist expressing yourself, I assume and I'm learning that we're all kind of in that world, even though people are kind of putting on this facade like, oh, I'm so confident and yeah, here, look at what I did, la la la. I think that I'm learning that they're actually not really, always 100%, because part of like sharing your art, or what I'm learning is sharing your art, is it's kind of like I'm okay with just doing it. I'm getting to a place where I'm okay just doing it and putting it out there now. Whereas like I used to really need that reception. I mean, we still kind of do, because it's like that validation, like, yes, I see you. There you are. There's that kind of thing going on, that exchange. And so I feel like that whole comparing game has definitely been a part of, it's definitely distracted me and kind of like put me off in a lot of ways. And I still do that, but I'm definitely a lot more better in terms of being self-aware of that kind of stuff when that negative, like, or just not even negative, just like, yeah, that thought, that stream of thought comes in. It's like, okay, don't go there because you're doing your own thing. This is you and that's them, They
Right.
can be amazing too. And you can also, because it's either black or white sometimes, like, oh my God, they're so great. I just can't can't do it.
Right.
But the thing about it is you can never stop doing it if you're an artist, right? Like it's like years. I'm talking like when I was in high school, it's like, I just can't do this. I'm not going to do this because I'm too embarrassed. I'm too shy. I'm just like, I can't do it. And then that whatever divine, not intervention, but I feel like that divinity that wanted to kind of express itself through me was like, no, here, you're going to do it. You're just going to do it. And I would just have to do it.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't be able to be happy. And I still struggle with that now. Like, it's kind of like, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. And I'm like, why am I so not fulfilled? Well, because you're not, you're kind of neglecting that whole part of yourself. Like being in the robot, I got to pay my bills. I got to do my thing, la, la, la. And it's like, oh yeah, but then there's this other part of me that I'm neglecting. Anyway, so.
No,
The balance,
the
right?
balance. But thank you so much too, Jonathan, for sharing. Well, two things kind of are resonating with me, like that this whole comparison thing, right? Where you're always comparing yourself to other folks, and maybe I'm projecting, but like, am I good enough? And then you need that validation, but then you're also like, okay, this is what I love to do, so I'm just going to do it because I love to do it, and I should be okay with that, so kind of like that world, but also like, you called it divinity, right? And this divinity wanted to express itself, and I just want to say thank you for sharing that, because yeah, like people or folks who are not artists maybe often or sometimes don't understand like how sacred those spaces are, whether it's a space that you're creating for yourself in that specific song or in that specific performance, or what that means to you, right?
Yeah.
And for folks who don't understand, it's like let me listen to the first 5 seconds and then click next or move on, or
Yeah,
like don't
totally.
understand like how sacred that song is, or how much time went into writing it, or the performance of it. And so I just wanted to say thank you for connecting
Of course.
the art to like the sacredity of it. So thank you.
Yeah.
Do you mind, Jonathan, for folks who maybe are not familiar with your work, do you mind giving us a little teaser? Do you have do you have your
right
guitar
now?
with you by chance?
Oh yeah, totally.
We would love to hear. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I'll try to go a little lower here, but hold on real quick. Hey Google, turn off. Google was still on. Okay. So I have an EP that I just released. It's called Hello Moon, and it's titled that because of a song that I wrote called Hello Moon, and that's what I'll play for you folks right now. And this is just kind of a song about like being lost, which I find myself lost a lot. And the thing about it is that it never, I feel like for me, once I kind of find my way and I'm like, oh, okay, so this is the direction we're going. It's great. And then it's like, okay, now where are we going? So that's kind of what this song is about. Okay, here we go. Hello, moon. Good evening, stars. Here we are among the stars. Let your light shine down from thee, so I can see what lies in front of me. 'Cause all my dreams have turned to dust. My heart it still begins to rust. Tell me why. Yeah. Cry under your crescent shade, as my crown begins to quake. I could die beneath your sky. Hello, moon. Goodbye, day. Say a prayer, then drift away. A second chance is all I need to catch a sun before she leaves. I see those rays of light to guide my way, so I follow thy ray. If I sit alone without a sound, my answers then be found, 'cause I'm so tired. It's like I'm frozen in a frame, but my thoughts are all the same. Can I be wired? My stubborn brain. Hello, moon. Goodbye, day. Say a prayer, then drift away. Sit alone without a song, will my answers then be found? 'Cause I'm so tired. It's like I'm frozen in a frame, and my thoughts are all the same. Can I be wired? My stubborn brain. Yeah. Hello, moon. Good evening, star. Here we are among the stars. Let your lights shine down from me, so I can see what lies in front of me. Thank you.
Yes. That was beautiful, Jonathan.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Like the boss serenade.
Good. I'm glad. That's a good response.
Yes.
But,
It's beautiful. Yeah, I have it on my playlist. So I'm just, yeah.
Oh,
So
good. Thank you. Thank you for your support. I'm glad.
yes.
I'm glad you guys like it.
Where can folks get or where can folks get your EP? Do you
Yeah,
wanna plug that real quick?
I would love to. Yeah. So right now, anywhere pretty much. I think. Well, I don't want to say anywhere. I'm just getting. Okay. So for sure, Apple Music and Spotify, and it's also on iTunes and Amazon. So yeah,
Yeah.
I guess that's anywhere, right?
Yes, yes, yes. No, that's in a lot of places. Yeah, mine's on Spotify. So yes, go
Yeah.
and download Jonathan Levy music. Please, please, please support Jonathan. And Jonathan, so when we were first checking in, you had shared that your music is a little bit of everything, but it's you identify as in the Americana genre. Is that right?
Right.
Can you talk a little bit
Yeah.
about the genre of music?
Oh yeah, for sure. So that was another thing that's like, and that's another thing that like the whole label thing, right? Because it's like
Yeah.
I just don't really. I mean, for years. I mean, when I first started writing, I was like, the first instrument that I've ever played was an ukulele. That's when I was 15, and so I used to play with my cousin, and we used to write songs together. So back then we were playing, it would be considered contemporary Hawaiian, right? But then the lyrical content that, I mean, I was young, so, but the direction I was going in terms of writing was kind of, I guess I thought was a little bit more introspective, but when I look back now, I'm like, that's a little cheesy what you wrote, but that's okay because you were like 15, 16, right? But at that time, it was like, oh, this is so profound. I haven't had a relationship at all. I'm still in the closet. I'm like, I have zero life experience, but this is so deep, right? But anyway,
Was it a
so
love song? Was
yeah,
it
it
a
was a love
breakup
song about
song?
a girl.
Oh.
Not a girl in particular, but like just that, and that was another thing too, because and a lot of my friends tease me about that now because I have like this one song that's fairly old, and a lot of my friends like it, and it makes a reference to a girl. A lot of my songs I keep it very gender neutral because I don't the whole point of the whole point of songwriting for me is that it's relatable. So I feel like, and I'm kind of digressing from your original question, but I just feel like when I'm producing something or when I'm creating something, the goal is to always have it fit, right? And so like some of the songs that I write, you would think that it's about this heartbreak or whatever, which it is, but it's like kind of like maybe something different, maybe a relationship with like my parents or my sister, versus like a love interest or something. But so over the years, like I've always been folky because I write with a guitar, so that's always kind of but my origin, like contemporary Hawaiian music, is very based in like uh a lot of the songs are country songs that are redone, but also there's a lot of R&B influences, but it's also like reggae, so it's like kind of like a combination. So I kind of like sing like that, right? Because that's how I grew up. But then I also got into R&B when I was in high school, so I was like into Brandy. I wanna be
The boy
down. Those
is
runs, I was like,
mine.
oh snap, girl. I was obsessed with Brandy. All like every other gay boy, all of my favorite artists are girl artists. I mean, what's the deal with that, right? I don't know. But I have a lot of male influencers too, but it's like the vocal of search. I just feel like the female artists like have this searching female artists just have like this this vulnerability in their voice. I don't know what it is, but anyway. So circling all the way back around to your question, Americana is where it's at now because I've recently understood and learned that like Americana is all encompassing in terms of all different American genres. So the producer that I'm working with, or that my producer, Art Ward with Century Music Group, he is based in Nashville, and it was funny because when I recorded that album, Hello Moon, after it was done, I let my friend listen to it. She's like, oh, I just love this. It's very, she's like, because she loves country music too. And I get it, because there's country influences in there. So, I mean, yeah, it's got country. Yeah. And also with country comes that storytelling vibe, right?
Right.
So she's like, I love country. I love it. It's just so great. And I told my producer, he's like, it's not country, it's Americana. And I was like, oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
Sorry.
So it's Americana, guys.
Okay.
Listen.
That's so
yeah,
funny.
so that's where kind of I would classify it as just folk Americana pop, because it has pop arrangements. So
Definitely. And so a couple of things. First, I'm seeing General Monty saying Monica for life. Girl, no, it is.
oh, General Monty. These are my girlfriends right here. I know. What is it? Yeah, I know. Calm down, Monty. What is it? Hello.
I'm just kidding, Monty.
Yeah. What is it? What is the boy is mine? We're constantly like me and my friend David Lee, who just laughed down there too. Constantly battling the Brandy and Monica, reenacting the Brandy and Monica Boy Is Mine video.
We need a
Mine girl.
we need a TikTok Brandy and Monica from you.
Seriously, right?
So a couple.
I don't know. I gotta practice though, but yeah, for sure. When I meet because my friend, these guys live down in LA, which I need to go visit them soon. But yeah, that's funny. Yeah. Monty.
Yes. Okay. So you're native Hawaiian, learned how to play the ukulele, and so Americana. The first time I heard Hello Moon, I was like, oh, okay, there's some country. And actually, when we checked in, I was like, okay, so country. And then you're like, no, girl, Americana. Don't let my producer hear that.
Yeah. But I mean, that's the thing. That's the thing that's confusing about it, because I didn't even really understand when I'm writing or when I'm playing or when I do, and when people ask me, what kind of music do you do? That question, I always freeze a little bit inside. I'm better now because I've been asked that many for a long time. So my answer is always I'm singer-songwriter, because singer-songwriter, it's not technically a genre, but it's like, I mean, if you put my voice over a hip hop beat, it's gonna be hip hop, right? And if you could change anything to whatever, like you can really put whatever into any category of music and call it this. The reason why I like Americana now is because it really is all encompassing, like I said. But I always associated Americana with just country. But I learned later, like, oh, that's not. And I don't know, like maybe some country folks who are snobs are gonna be like, oh yeah, no, it's not Americana, you know? I don't know, but that, to my understanding, it is. But
okay,
yeah.
So just to be very transparent and very honest, as someone who listens to some country, but like more mainstream country, like Carrie Underwood, of course.
I love Carrie Underwood.
And like Kelly Clarkson.
I don't want to spend my life jaded.
Right.
Yeah. That's my favorite Carrie Underwood song.
Okay. Okay. I like Jesus Take the Wheel. Sorry, I had
that's a good one too. I was like, that's also second best. Just
so you know, as someone who doesn't listen to country regularly other than mainstream country that's on the radio here and there, for whatever reason there's this association to like country being racist or homophobic, and that's just like a very real, whether it's, I mean, there's
very
a history
southern,
there.
it's a very
yeah,
southern
it's very
kind
southern.
of attitude. Yeah.
Like, what is it like navigating kind of that world, especially like as a queer man, you know? Like,
I'm not even in that world yet. So like I'm not even tripping. But the thing is that like for me, that's also like the problem that I have with just like, I guess like the music industry or the music world.
Mm-hmm.
I personally, like, I think about that. I mean, the album, I want to clarify this. The album is Americana. I am not Americana country, right? I am just me, and I write beautiful music. I hope it's beautiful, but that's what I strive to. I strive to like make something that's actually um, that. When I say beautiful, I mean thoughtful, and it doesn't. I mean, it's just my meaning. I put a lot of thought into the lyrical content that I mean, and a lot of songwriters do or don't. I don't know, but like for me, it's like I really try to make it package it up so that it's receivable by everyone, right? That's what I mean by that. But I don't feel like I feel like as a gay man, um, I'm fairly I'm fairly comfortable with a lot in terms of whatever kind of. I mean, I just don't feel like, to be honest with you, I don't feel like I fit in anywhere. I never really felt like I fit in, and it, not to be like so, I don't fit in anywhere, but it's like there are these seasons where I'm like, oh, I don't. Even sometimes with the gay community, I'm like, oh, I don't really fit in there. I don't know, but that doesn't necessarily mean that.
Same.
You know what I mean? It's just kind of like, so I'm used to kind of being like looked at as weird or whatever, or different or whatever. I don't know. But there are pockets of, obviously there are places where I do feel like I belong. But in terms of like that genre, like I don't like. First of all, I'm not really in that world like where I'm like really feeling like I'm a country artist by any means. That's not like something. I just feel like I'm an artist. I just got into calling myself an artist, let alone a country artist.
Right.
Yeah, or a Americana artist. It's just something. It's language. It's so that people can understand, right? This is what. So when people are like, what kind of music do you play? It's like I have to give you a language that you could understand, right? So right. Americana is what you'll understand, because you're going to hear the music and you're going to hear the lyrics and you're going to think country or this and this stuff. But if you hear other songs, you're going to think, oh, more like I don't know if you know who Ben Harper is, or Amos Lee, which are also Amos Lee is also, I steer people more towards like an Amos Lee vibe, because he's a black dude, or I think he's mixed. He's got that R&B sound, but he's singing like, he for sure is singing like some country songs, but it's different. It's eclectic. His music is eclectic, but within that Americana genre.
So Jonathan. Saludos, Frank Sol, desde Guerrero, Mexico. Wow, that's awesome.
Oh, hi.
Hello. So did you grow up in a musical family? Like, where does this come from? You mentioned that you.
I have no idea where this comes from, to be honest with you. It comes from God. No, no. So I did not grow. Okay, so when I was very young, my first musical experiences were like, I've always liked to sing. So like everybody that knows me from when I was young, my sisters, my mom, my dad, I used to love to sing. So my parents put me into a choir called, it was very, popular boy choir in Hawaii. It's called Honolulu Boy Choir. I don't think that they're still going on. They used to play concerts like at the malls and like the churches, or like Christmas celebrations or whatever. But so I did that first. That was my first actual kind of like music voice lessons, if you will. And then I started playing. I always sang, and I started playing the ukulele when I was about 14, 15 with my cousin. So I would say like, my grandpa plays music. I shouldn't say that I don't come from a musical family, but like in terms of my immediate family, there's not really a lot of singers. There's not really a lot of musicians. My brother sings, but he went into law enforcement, so he's like went in a different direction. But I didn't grow up. In other words, like when I see other artists, and I'm like, where they're like, oh yeah, we used to play songs around the house and sing these songs with my mom and my dad. I was like I never had that. So I didn't have that experience, but I did have my cousin. So me and my cousin used to play music a lot. So that's kind of where it grew more into kind of like, oh, this is something that I can do. I've always liked to sing, but then when it went into like writing, it was like, oh, there's this too, you know. Um, and then I just kind of like, I've always kind of done it on my own. I'll say that. I haven't really had other, yeah. And, I have friends that are musicians, but not anybody in my immediate family.
That's beautiful though that you were able to get the support from your family who, you know, had you join choir and
Yeah,
you know that's beautiful. Often,
yeah,
especially well, yeah, yeah, in a lot of families of color, and just in general, the arts often are not something that's fostered from a really young age. So it's beautiful to see
yeah,
that your family did encourage that, even if
yeah.
there were, you know, even if you didn't have that anyone necessarily musically or doing anything musically while you were growing
Right.
up. So
Yeah.
that's beautiful. When you walk into art spaces, Jonathan, are you having or
Hmm.
like I wanted to go back to something you said earlier where you struggled with labels, you struggled with spaces because sometimes you feel like Gloria Ansaldúa says, right? Like we're like turtles, we carry home on our back. We're neither from here nor from there. And talk you just talk a little bit about that. Because like I know that for me in my art, like I'm very unapologetic with my work, but
Uh-huh.
it
And
hasn't
you guys
always.
are amazing too. You shouldn't apologize for anything.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Um, so we're super unapologetic, but or like you know with my work, but it wasn't always like that, right? Like I had to
Right.
always code switch, especially talking to like art galleries where I had to explain my work or to audiences that were not art audiences of color, oftentimes white
Right.
audience or straight audience. And I had to like really be like, well, this is why this piece is important, or no, that's not what that means. It means this. But
Right.
oftentimes, in order to like be palatable to spaces, I had to like code switch. Whereas
Oh
now I'm
yeah.
like, fuck that. I'm gonna walk in off ears and be like, yeah, I'm here. I'm brown. I'm queer.
Right.
Like,
Right.
you
Deal with
know,
it.
these are
Yeah.
my politics. I'm sorry, not the space for me. Great, bye. Like,
Yeah.
but that it wasn't always like that. Oh my
Right.
gosh.
Right.
Sorry.
That's
UPS is
okay.
outside.
The
Yeah,
kids.
UPS is
Get the
outside.
kids.
Yes, UPS is outside, and our dogs hate UPS. I apologize. Sorry.
No, it's okay.
Um, you know, but like, do you find that like I'm not sure how you met your music producer? Like, do you find whether you do this or not, like because it's a form of survival in the arts world, it's not there's no shame. Like, do you find that you're having to code switch, or do you walk in off ears like you're gonna
Do
sign?
you mean like conform? Are you you mean like do like conforming to a situation?
It could. I mean, it absolutely could be conforming. I mean, it sounds like you're not conforming as far as your lyrics because you're gender neutralizing the genders in your
Oh yeah.
language.
Yeah.
But so not so much conform, but like for me, by code switching, I mean like in an art world, you know, where maybe my attire when I was going to go see a gallery or show my work portfolio
Oh,
would be
I
like
see.
very suit and tie versus like now I can walk in and just be kind of apologetic about not only the work but even who I am, right?
I
Like,
see what you're saying. Yeah.
and I guess maybe for code switching, like, do you have to be mask presenting,
Oh,
or like
yeah.
kind of
I
those things?
I mean, I don't really no, I don't feel like no, okay, so like with my okay, so like for my relationship with my producer, like so basically I met um art on Craigslist a couple of years ago when I was looking to do a project with recording an EP. I wanted to record something that was and this whole EP is just a labor of love for me. You know, really it's kind of a like it's a goal that I sought out to prove to myself that you can make a beautiful album just like anybody else, but you have to pay some money and you have to be patient. You know, but you can do it. Like I don't need anybody. I mean, not that I don't need anybody's help, but it's like the goal was just to prove to myself, you know. Um so when I met Art, Art he's great. He's a great guy. So he's okay, so like I I met him on Craigslist and we had discussions over several months to see if we were going to work well together and if we were going to be in agreement with things and this and that. And a lot of it yeah, well, I mean, in terms of it was just basically very professional, like on the phone, because he's in Nashville. So I didn't get to like see him for like 5 months until after we first started like talking. Um, but when I first went to Nashville, this is what's funny too is so I love this story actually. I'm just remembering it right now. So I'm like, I'm not really sure. I mean, I know what I'm doing because I researched his company and I researched situations because I'm not some naive person and I've been down this road with kind of like, business endeavors in terms of music. So I was kind of like, okay, what are we doing? What are we doing? Okay, cool. But I'm always kind of like not skeptical, but I'm always cautious. But I was like, this guy's legit, like him, he's cool, let's do it. Flew down to Nashville. Went so the album was recorded at Sound Stage Studios in Nashville. So there's two apparently. I guess there's two. There's a small one and a big one. So I went to Soundstage Studios and I like no like it's just like it's really cool. Nashville has like all their studios are like I think it's called Music Row, and it's just all recording studios. So this one was like nice, right? And I was like, oh cute, okay, oh this is gonna be like a nice it's gonna be like a big thing. Okay, cool. Yeah.
Like
I'm gonna have my Christina Aguilera moment. I'm gonna have my Christina Aguilera moment. And so I was like, okay, so I knocked on the door. I couldn't get in because it was locked. So like I buzzed, and the front desk person had to come and let me in. They're like, "Hi, can I help you?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm here to see art with Century Music Group." And he's like, "Oh, I think you mean I think you need to go to the small soundstage studio, which is basically like I guess the shittier one." And so I was like, "Oh, that makes sense. Okay, sure, okay." So then and then I get a text from Art, and he's like, "Wait, no, I see you. Come back around." And so I'm like, "Oh, okay." I'm like, so I did have to record in the big one. But when I first met Art, he's this huge guy. Like, he's huge, like, super tall. And so I was like, I was thinking to myself, like, I mean, I'm always when it comes to straight guys, I don't know if you feel this way too, but like straight butch guys, I think just growing up the way that we grew up, it's kind of like, okay, what's your deal? Are you going to be cool or am I going to have to be uncool? You know what I mean? Like, what's
Right.
But I'm a nice person in general.
Yeah.
But when you grow up, gay, and you grow up different, you have this kind of defensive, not defensiveness. That's an Aquarius thing. But if you have like this kind of, okay, I gotta feel you out. What am I working with here? So because he was so huge and like so like kind of intimidating, this record producer, but he was so sweet and so cool. He was very nice on the phone too, but it was just like, so we hit it off. So like he's super funny. We just the first day I went in, and the musicians that I worked with are very, very professional working musicians. So all the guys were cool, and everybody was just kind of like super excited for me and like happy to be a part. I mean, well, they work on a lot of great stuff. So not that they're happy to work with me, but they didn't have to be as supportive as they were, given I feel like the status that they have. So it was very genuine, I felt, and very just supportive musicians. And then so I mean, in that situation, I mean I don't necessarily feel like I had to like change who I was. Or change to kind of fit the situation, which was great. But I have had those situations before, but not necessarily even having to do with music, just in everyday life, right?
Yeah.
Like I go to a friend's party or I go to somewhere and they're like, "Oh, you seem okay." I'm not sure. Okay, maybe I'll just like. But I know I'm at a place right now in my life where it's like I'm really just accepting all of me, and I'm a lot to handle. I get it. So it's like, thank you for everybody who's like still sticking around. But I think people who know me know that like I have a good heart, and I'm very like once we're cool, we're always gonna be cool. Like that's part of my downfall is like separating myself from certain situations, because I always feel like people deserve like a second or a third chance. As long as you're sorry, or as long as you understand what the problem was, as long as we're understanding each other, we're cool, you know? But yeah, I'm kind of digressing again. So
Well, shout out to all the masked butch cis hetero men out there who make it safe for queer folks and for women. Shout out to y'all. Because yeah, assessing safety, especially even within art spaces, can be can be scary. You know, it can be scary. And it's not until more recently that queer art is even celebrated. So you know,
yeah.
so thank you for kind of
Oh, of
talking
course.
a little bit about your experience there. And yeah, so it can be scary, but just like the visual arts, the performing arts often live on the margins of the art world, right? And we've talked about this in previous episodes. And, you know, like, I think every single artist that I know, let me think, I'm like, is anyone thriving solely on the creation of their work that I know? No.
Yeah.
Do you know someone?
Very little.
I know
Very
like
little folks.
one person
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah.
Like we have to have jobs outside of our art practice in order to
Yeah.
even be able to practice.
Yeah.
Are you in the same boat?
Yeah. Well, so for me, okay, so my whole thing too, it's been I've been all over the place with my music. So this project that I started was the sole focus, right? And it took about a couple of years to complete everything. So within that amount of time, I did dabble a little bit with like doing little shows or little performances here and there. But okay, sorry, I forgot the question. What was the question?
That most folks have to work full time or
Oh
part
yeah,
time in order to maintain their
yeah,
practice.
yeah, yeah. That's right. Working. So I work in the service industry. Right now I'm unemployed because of coronavirus.
Yeah.
And the world in shambles right now. But so in my normal everyday life, yeah, I worked at a server. I was actually last year, whilst I was wrapping up my project with my EP, I got my certification in personal training because I wanted to do something else that that was helpful and beneficial, and something that I enjoy doing is working out and helping people. So I was just in the midst of balancing the two out this year. So I was just transferring over into personal training with Crunch. I just got a job at Crunch, and then this happened and everything closed, and it was just kind of like, oh, but it also kind of like was good because it brought me back to my music. Because I was like, I bought a new guitar. I was kind of like, you know, I had a lot of, for me, like, which I don't know if it's the same for you guys, but it's always like, I don't have time to do this, or I don't have to, you know, like the inspiration for me, it's like, if it's not there, I can't do it. And if it is there, it's got to be real quick. When I write songs, I just record like snippets into my phone, or I'll write down lyrics or whatever, and then I'll come back to it because I know that that's my process. But I found myself never coming back to it, you know? And there's a lot wrapped into that as well. But like, yeah, it just became this thing where it was like, oh, I gotta survive. And the music is just like secondary. And that kind of brings me back to what we talked about before, where it was like, no, that's actually a part of you. So you like my spirit guides are like, no, but you have to like do that, because like, if you don't do that, then you're going to be miserable, and then you're going to be a big bitch to everybody. And that's not fair. So I was like, right. Okay. Got it. So anyway, this kind of like put me back into that world of like, oh yeah, there's no time, doesn't exist right now. Like, you know, like there's no time for me anyway. It's like, I have no schedule. I do have something that I have to do today, but it's like, oh wow, that's like, you know, I don't have, like, for the past 2 months, it's just been like, you do have time to do this. You can go and just play that and just do it for the hell of it, you know? Anyway, so yeah, it's always been trying for me ever since I started to pursue it. I want to say I actively started pursuing music more in my 20s when I first moved to San Francisco. That was kind of like, I had a huge growth spurt in my music career from 24 to 28, which is when I first met my very talented friend, Jacobo Barreiro. He's from Spain. We formed a band together and we recorded our first EP, which is called These Doors, in his closet. Like he had he had a small closet in his house in downtown, and he had all of his recording equipment in there, and we would play together. We really jived together. He had a very islandy vibe when he plays guitar. That's another thing. I think you might be able to find These Doors. I don't know. It was very long time ago. I think it might be on Amazon. You can definitely Google Jonathan Levi These Doors if you want to hear that one. But it's beautiful. Like so he's amazing. We recorded the album in his closet and la di da di da di da.
You went back in the closet.
Oh, never. No, I mean, like, literally, yeah, I did. It was funny. We would joke about that too. We would joke about that too. Because he is just the coolest person ever. He's straight, so it was like we jived really well. But I would always obviously joke about that, like, oh, the closet again. Just got out of here 10 years ago. But it was a really cool experience, and it was really cool to like to say that, you know, like, oh, this was recorded in a closet. Because if you listen to it, you would never know. But anyway,
that's awesome. Oh, that's beautiful. So as we start getting ready, I know it seems time flies. It's
oh
like
yeah,
isn't that
when you're
crazy?
having fun. Yeah, when you're
But
having fun.
as we start getting ready to wrap up the interview, do you mind sharing maybe like an experience that you had on stage? Maybe one really beautiful experience where you're like, holy shit, I'm gonna die. And then you get up on stage and then the reception is just beautiful. And then
Yeah,
like
yeah,
have you also had the opposite where you like fall off the stage?
I haven't had one fall off, but I think my string broke on stage. I've had a lot of malfunctions when I played live because you're dealing with electronics, right? So the first one, I'll do the positive first, and then we can do the or why don't we do the negative one first?
So it doesn't have to be negative; it can be funny.
I mean, I can't use that word negative. I'll just use the one where I was freaking out more internally. Was I think what happened? We were playing. I don't know if it was the Red Devil Lounge. Oh, actually, there was a lot of times actually that I had freak out moments that, thank God, nobody ever really knew. But that's what made it so uncomfortable for me. So one time was what I think it was Red Devil Lounge, like when Red Devil Lounge was around. It was, I want to, maybe it's 2008, 2009, and this was kind of like a cool venue to play in, right? And so like something that happened was it my string that broke? Yes, it was my string that broke. So luckily, so I'm playing a song, and at some point my guitar string breaks. And so this is kind of like a common thing that I think everybody like who plays guitar is like, you know, and they're just, people are really cool, but because I have stage fright, right? So I freak out, like not inside. And I just kind of finished up the song. At this point, I had kind of like gotten more comfortable with playing live, but still, you know, freaking out. But thankfully, the recovery was that it was very simple. I had a guitarist. I had another guitarist with me. So he just played, you know, the songs and I just sang. So it wasn't like I was the only guitarist. So, which was great. That's just one freak out moment. There's been other moments. But one really good one, or one that was really crazy for me was I used to also play with Rebecca Rudman. She's a amazing cellist. She actually, well, she played with us in my band. So she's a full on cellist. So she had invited me a couple of times to play with her, like on her in her world. So I forget where it was. I want to say maybe it was a venue. It was outside of the city. It was really cool. It was like the biggest I think it was probably the biggest venue that I've ever played in. But she just invited me to play a song, and it was totally packed. And my biggest fear, one of my biggest fears is because when I'm performing, I am very not in my element. So I'm very anxious, and people will say that, but like my mind is scattered and I'm kind of like I have a hard time focusing. unless I ground myself. And so it was my turn to go up, and she called me up. And as I was going up, I was just like, holy shit, I'm freaking out. Like, it was, I don't even know, maybe 300, 400 people in there. But I don't know. And I was already having some anxiety in my life at that time too. So I think that was exacerbating it. So anyway, I went up there. I played with her. The sound was great. I had an out-of-body experience. I don't really remember much of it. I know I messed up a little bit, so I kind of freaked out. But see, those are the things that I'm realizing nobody really notices. Because when I got down, everybody in the audience was like, where can I get your music? La 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 la. And I was like, but I was not expecting that, right? So I was like, but it was so great because I was like, I just was like kind of like wanted it to be over. That's why. So the fact that, you know, so many people like resonated with it, and I felt like I wasn't even at my best, and I felt like really like I did a horrible job. I realized in that moment, it's like, well, it doesn't really matter what you think at the end of the day. It does matter, you know, for me in terms of like being better at what I do, and also just like honoring myself and doing the thing that I love to do and doing it because I enjoy doing it. But it's like, it doesn't really matter if you mess up, because these people are not, you know what I mean? They're not picking up on that, and they're appreciating, you know, they're seeing the light through the cracks, if you will. And so it's like, that's where I was kind of like, okay, cool. I still get nervous, but it's like, I realized that like, I'm gonna mess up. I've just accepted that.
Well, you're amazing. And even just
Thank you.
what you did today was so beautiful. So, I mean, I
Oh,
can't
thank
imagine.
you.
Yeah, but how beautiful that you got to play with this amazing cellist in a full venue, and that folks loved you, and
Yeah.
that's beautiful and powerful. And so, no, that's awesome. Thank you so much, Jonathan, for being with us here today.
Thank you.
Sharing your experience. It's, you know, again, the performance arts often are not highlighted the way that they should be, unless you're a celebrity, right?
Right.
And it's like, so it's important for us, I think, to make sure that we bring performance arts, 3D artists, so we have more artists coming. Thank you so much for sharing your experience
Thank
with
you
us.
so much for doing what you're doing. I really appreciate everything that you're doing, because I personally needed this in my life right now too, because I was like, oh wow, that's what you guys are doing? Okay, I love that. I think every artist kind of like can benefit from these kinds of, you know, interviews or what are they called? Real talk, you know, kind of things, because it's like we're all human, and nobody, even if you're like, you know, whatever, like really great at what you're doing, you're still human, and you still have doubts, right? You still have self-doubt. So that's good. Anyway, thank you guys for having me.
Thank you so much, Jonathan. Don't forget to download Jonathan's music on Spotify, Amazon, iTunes, Apple Music, and I think I got them all, right? Did I miss any?
Yeah, I mean, they can, yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Yes. And we'll put links to this video, or we'll put links to Jonathan's page on this video, so you can follow him and download his music. The next episode is on June 2nd with Gloria, who's going to be talking about ancestral knowledge through hair. So we'll see you then. Ooh. Thank you again, Jonathan, for being here
today. You guys.
And
enjoy
until next time.
Bye, everybody.
Adios.